Have you ever wondered what are nations? What are countries? And why do these even exist? Was there ever a time when people could live without the state? If these questions makes you curious, then you are at the right place to learn about the concept of the state. So hello people, this video is helpful for UPSC aspirants who have opted for the PSIR as their optional subject. As I have also opted for the same, I'm trying to revise these topics by making these videos in my free time. This is mostly for my own revision as I can keep check on my own progress, and I think this will help me to be consistent in my revision. I'll try to keep the concepts as simpler as I can so that may also help you people to understand the complex things in the simplest way possible. Now this specific video will focus on the concept of the state, and by the end of this video you will have clear understanding of what is state, how this concept came, when the state became the absolute need of the humanity, and you will get the answer to this question: can we live without the state in 21st century? Then we'll look at the difference between city states versus the nation states, and at last we'll be looking at various theories of the state. So let's get started with the first thing. Now, way before agriculture came into practice, there was this society called pre-agrarian society, where people were hunters and gatherers. They used to hunt down the animals for living. There was no any division of labor since there was no farming activities. Okay, people were not generating surplus amounts of food, and if there is no any surplus amount of food, then they don't have to sell anything into the market. There were no concept like marketplaces and all. And if there were no markets, obviously there were no any exchange mechanisms at all at that point of time. So there were no rules and regulations for anything. So in that case, the state was not much needed. People were living on their own. So this was pre-agrarian society. But soon the agricultural practices came into picture. People started defining the territory of their farm. They started occupying the lands, and soon they started the farming activities. They started employing security guards on their farm to protect their crops from damages from cattle or from thieves. They started employing soil tillers, harvesters, etc. So this is how the division of labor increased. People started growing crops, and they started getting food surpluses. And they had to sell this surplus somewhere into the marketplaces. So that's how the marketplaces emerged. And once the marketplaces emerged, the exchange mechanisms also came into place. Like barter system was there. Barter system as in people were exchanging goods and services for other goods and services. Okay, there was nothing like money at all. There was no concept of money back then. Okay, now when there are marketplaces, there are exchanges, then it's obvious that the disputes could arise among the people. Okay, and to settle those disputes, rules and regulations are needed. Now there must be somebody to enforce the rules and regulations that are made. And that's when the need of the state actually felt. Okay. Also, when the society was small, there was no any need for the state. But as it grew, as it evolved, okay, and as it became large enough, the state was definitely needed at that time. So this is how the state societies actually evolved, and this is how the need of the state actually felt for the humanity. Okay, so soon the society evolved into an industrialist society. And this was around 1700s, where different people started to specialize in different tasks. People started occupying the roles of construction workers, technicians, computer operators, etc. So division of labor increased drastically, and this led to an increase in productivity and a more complex society. With all this, the role of the state also evolved. Now the state has to regulate the market, the state has to provide public services, it has to protect the environment, it has to make more laws. For instance, the rise of factories and mass production required new laws and regulations to ensure workers' safety and fair wages. As societies became even more connected, international relations and diplomacy became crucial, and the state took a new role in managing these relationships. So, after industrial revolution, state became integral and necessary part of human society. So the state is definitely needed at this point. The state became omnipotent. Now you must have heard about these terms: city-states, nation-states. What are these? Let's understand that. A city-state is an independent, self-governing country contained totally within the borders of a single city. Okay, these were sovereign entities and were not dependent on any other external power. So city-state was the earliest form of state. Okay, some of the ancient Greek city-states were Athens, Sparta, and even today modern city-states are there like Vatican City, Monaco, Singapore. I'll show you these on the map. So as you may see, this is the map of ancient Greece. Okay, ancient Greece was home to some of the most prominent city-states like Athens. Okay, Sparta is here and Corinth is here. So these were the most prominent city-states back then. These city-states were autonomous and self-governing. They had their own armies, laws, and policies. At that time, there were a number of city-states. Okay, there were so many city-states, but today there are few true city-states. Okay, as I told you, there are modern city-states even today. And if you can see this modern map, countries surrounding the Mediterranean Sea, you can see this is Italy, and here is France. In Italy, there is a Vatican City, which is a modern city-state, we may call it. And in France, there is Monaco. Okay, so these two are the city-states, modern city-states. And one is also there, Singapore, which is in Southeast Asia. Okay, it is not here. So these city-states are small in size and they are dependent on trade and tourism. With the rise of empires and the consolidation of power, the city-state model began to disappear and the nation-states emerged. Nation-states are modern-day states like the Republic of India, United States of America, and France. These are sovereign entities and have a defined territory. They have their own geographical borders, they have their own territories, and they have their own population, citizens are there, and they have their own centralized governments. Okay, and these are based on the principle of nationalism. These are the states that are defined by common language, culture, and identity. Okay, so what could be the formal definition of state? You can make that formal definition by using these points. It can be defined as centralized, law-making, law-enforcing, politically sovereign institution in the society. It monopolizes the rule-making within the territory. It regulates the market activity within the territory, and it ensures regulation and distribution of essential materials and goods and services. Now, if you want to remember the features of the state or elements of the state, then you can use this mnemonic CGST. C stands for citizens, who are indigenous people who are native to that country. G stands for government, that claim the legitimate use of state power. S is sovereignty, which could be internal and external sovereignty. Internal sovereignty as in every state can act as it wishes within its own territory and it's independent of other powers, other external powers. And external sovereignty means it is the fact that the state is recognized as a state by other states. Okay, every state must get the recognition from every other states. Okay, so this is what the external sovereignty is. T stands for territory, which is the geographical boundary. That's it. Now, after learning all this, we have got pretty good idea and understanding of what the state is, and we have got an answer to our question, which is, had people lived without a state? So yes, there was a time when people could live without the state. It was in the pre-agrarian period, and when there were small agrarian societies, people were living together even without a state. Okay, but in today's world, can we live without a state in 21st century? You know the answer to this now. Let me know in the comment section below. We have now totally understood what the state is, how it came, when it became the need, can we live without it or not, and terms such as city, state, and nation states. And we are all set to move further and look at various different theories of the state, like liberal theory, neoliberal theory, Marxist theory, pluralist theory, post-colonial theory, feminist theory. So all of these are in our syllabus. Okay, so in the very next video, we will be starting with theories of state. So stay tuned. Thank you for your attention. See you in the next one.